president this morning, and I know that one of the things he said was we are going to be looking at infrastructure, power, and then a couple of other things this year. And they're saying that this is just a year before the 2019 election. I mean, every other people are beginning to think, is this government going to work? Are they going to do something, or would they just be sleeping or trying to campaign for next year? But from the speech, which of the points made really mattered? Well, what would you say about the speech generally? Let's start with you, Destiny.
Well, thank you, Che. Well, it's a good thing, of course, to hear the president say those things. It gives some glimmer of hope that, I mean, on the surface, as it were, that maybe the government is waking up. But if you, with a bit of hindsight, you want to ask, if a man had told you good morning earlier when it was good afternoon, and then he tells you again, you want to say, is it morning or afternoon? You want to be sure, as a matter of fact. I'm saying so given the campaign promises of this government. You know, so much. You go to social media, you go everywhere, you could see where Nigerians are putting forward, you know, these were the things you said. You would equalize the dollar with the naira. You would build a factory every year. You would defeat Boko Haram in 3 months. You would feed schools. You would pay 5,000 naira to unemployed Nigerians, and I mean, so on and so on. And none of those things is on the ground. You know, so like you said in your preamble, we are at visually an election year. All the parties will be agog now with nomination of candidates for elections, and then the elections are running early in 2018. And here we're talking about infrastructure development 3 years into this government, you know, when indeed we have not seen practically anything done. You know, good enough, the president apologized for the hardship Nigerians have had to face during this period. I mean, I had to abort a trip home, you know, to attend my niece's wedding back home, you know, because I didn't want to be stranded with my family. You know, so but what we're saying is, given the president's speech, I am saying it is good. This has been said, but I'm taking everything in with a pinch of salt. Given the antecedents, given, you know, like I said, with a bit of hindsight, we have not seen lots and lots of promises. Time wouldn't permit us to begin to say these were the things that we're told, you know, you would do. You know, voters because we need the electricity, voters because of security, so much. You know, so I'm taking everything in with a pinch of salt.
All right, okay, fine. Barrister Omolaja, let's talk about another highlight that he mentioned. Although Barrister Destiny mentioned it in passing, Nigerians have faced a lot of hardship. The Utah season, specifically that of the petroleum scarcity, which is, you know, like it was expected because of antecedent and all of that. But he said that he was going to punish, make sure that those who actually hoarded and diverted fuel would not go unpunished. How do you see this happening?
I sincerely, very, very sincerely hope that he will deliver on that promise. Believing seriously that the last fuel scarcity hardship Nigerians experienced at such a period where we should be happy was foisted on this country by economic saboteurs. But I think the economic saboteurs must have calculated and must have concluded that this government can only back but cannot bite. They must have told themselves that, look, we've always gotten away with it, we will get away with it. So speaking directly to your question, honestly, I am looking forward to seeing this government punish some marketers who obviously were hoarding the commodity. Remember, a place was discovered, I think somewhere in Abuja, that was, I think, where they were dumping this fuel. And should that have happened? And we now got to the policy of whistleblowing, even on fuel hoarding. There have been no stations that had fuel and they were not selling. Look at the number of stations that were sealed. At such a time when all the pumps should be flowing, we had the misfortune of sealing stations. So let me repeat myself for the upteenth time. I am looking forward to the enemies of this country getting punished, getting sent to jail. Maybe, then we will have started on the practical note on this our journey to change. Because the president said in his introduction, in addressing the country today, he used the expression, our quest for change. Now that means we are still in search for change. Change is not here yet. It is a process. Our quest for change is not a product that is already manufactured, dried, cut, and delivered. It is a process. And in this our process of looking for change and getting change, let's have some practical results of people getting punished.
All right.
Okay, so still on this note, he also made a point about the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, otherwise known as FEMA, that they had been reconstituted and ordered to carry out rapid road upgrade within 12 weeks. I'd like you to react to that. Do you think this is achievable? Within 12 weeks, a rapid
12 weeks. Which 12 weeks is a period of 4 months or 3 months, yeah,
Yes, about
4
3
weeks a
months.
month, yes, or 3 months. I don't know if that has to do with Lagos Ibadan Expressway alone, or Lagos or any particular expressway.
Yes.
I'm saying so to say that what's the capacity of FEMA? I mean, given what we know about FEMA and the condition of federal roads, to say that this is practicable, it is realistic. You know, as I've said, my people say when a snake bites you, you begin to fear. When you see a lizard, you jump. You know, I have always said, even before this government was inaugurated, when I looked at all of the promises made, as a Nigerian of my station in life, I knew that they were not feasible, and I called them bogus promises long before this government was, the investiture of this government. You know, so but to say to Nigerians again, to make this representation that in 3 months,
there's 25 major highways within the 6 geopolitical zones that we have.
Very well.
That's what he's promising.
You know, I say that it's a good thing what the president said, but my personal view is I'm taking everything with a pinch of salt. You know, because I do not see FEMA, given what we know that FEMA has done over the years, the condition of federal roads. I mean, for all of these years, even for the 3 years of this administration, being able to do that, to work on 25 major roads.
But it's said to be funded by 100 billion from the Sukuk fund.
Well, the problem
so
of Nigeria has always not been, the problem has not been funds, it's not been funding. There's a lot of money. Nigeria is a very rich country. The problem has always been that of goodwill, of accountability, you know, of the will on the part of governance to do the right thing. That has been a problem. You know, I mean, even just what we talked about a short while ago, you know, about fuel scarcity and about economic saboteurs, I am almost, I think it's derisive in a way to say economic saboteurs. It's, how could you, I mean, you're the head, you're responsible for policy formulation and implementation. And given your knowledge of governance, this period, we know what the demand is generally for fuel products and for how people move, you know, goods and human beings, how they move during this period. I have had in a certain forum to ask the question, and of course somebody who appeared to know better than me had asked that usually there's a stockpile of petroleum products, you know, reserved for this period. That's what the governments of the past have done to ensure that we don't have this kind of situation. You know, it's a common saying that a farmer who, you know, who brings home an ant-infested firewood invites the lizards and birds, you know, to a feast. So we're blaming the major petroleum marketers and all of that they hoarded. You gave opportunity for it because you did not make enough or sufficient. If we had sufficient petroleum products available, there would be no hoarding. You know, when, of course, it's a natural economic theory. When the demand, you know, is over and above supply, prices go up.
Of course.
You know, because you did not make provision, you did not stockpile, you did not make, you know, there was too little fuel, too much being pursued. So what happened? People took advantage of it.
The situation.
And what was the capacity of the PRO to now enforce? How many stations could we have closed all over the country? So the thing is not about, it's like passing the buck. It's like trying to blame, you know, like calling a dog a bad name to hang it. As far as I'm concerned, yes, the marketers may not have been very patriotic, but maybe they were capitalists. And so we have that situation because the government of the day failed to do what it should have done.
Okay, fine. Do you really think, Omolaja, do you really think there's a new vista of hope as regards the transportation system, going by the fact that the president did a lot of promises as regards the coastal rail line and you know, the capital rail line in Abuja and all of that? It seems to be channeling a whole lot right now on rail project.
You see me smiling. It's because on paper, Nigeria is fantastic. Remember that this government came into power on the matter of change. So much was promised us. What the president has done again today is to give us promises. We won't say we are tired of these promises being made, but we want goods delivered to us in practical terms. My learned friend there was referring to the capacity of FEMA, and the government haven't promised within 12 weeks, which simply put 3 months. The government that is saying that we are going to have some miracle in 3 months, in the months in which they have been in power, what have they really delivered? Is it, are we beginning to see electioneering campaign again? Honestly, the speech of the president of the country holds that a lot of hope for Nigerians. The coastal promises, the roads that will be done, the haulage of goods by railway, the 2 million people that railway will take off our roads, fantastic. The tons of, millions of tons that railway will carry of loads, fantastic. Is the government going to deliver? And I'll tell you why I am this skeptical. I'll tell you why my skepticism seems to be growing. I am always an optimist. I describe myself as an inveterate optimist. I'm always hopeful. Look at what has happened in the power sector. The president was very sure that megawatts has risen 7,000. Well, maybe that's what the report they're giving to him. But for some of us, the electricity sector has humiliated us, has harassed us, has made life a nonsense of our communities. And I'll give you this very, very painful example. In a situation where the government is stomping its chest that we have delivered, something rather drastic, humiliating happened to some communities in Ikorodu when distribution companies formulated the policy of disconnecting entire communities. Not individual debtors now. Even creditors were disconnected just because distribution companies were putting their quest for money before the welfare of the citizenry. They were putting quest for money, they were putting profit before the welfare of the citizenry. People, some persons are on prepaid meters. They were not owing. Some persons are on postpaid plans. Some were not even owing, they pay promptly. Some few individuals who were owing, you now formulated a policy that should have seen some of their leaders, some of their, maybe the chairman, their managers, no, staying in prison, being punished by the law. Because what they did was extremely provocative. And some of these communities rose up and said, how, for goodness sake, can you punish Peter for the sin of Paul? In fact, they were not just punishing Peter now. For the sin of Paul, they were punishing the whole generation. And we say, that is not done. And we are saying, still on the electricity sector, this government that is so proud of what they are achieving and what they are promising us, how about getting us prepaid meters? There is still no matter of profiteering, of exploiting members of the public. When you say you are giving us estimated bills, we say, look, Our GSM, the telephones we carry, most of us, if you do, not GSM, most of us, all of us, if you don't recharge, you don't get to use your phone, except those who are postpaid plans. But what is their percentage? Give us meters. If you give us meters, you know they are in business now. It is no, electricity is no longer government business.
Yeah.
If they gave Nigerians meters, electricity sector will become efficient.
Okay.
Why? It is so simple. If you do not supply, I will not recharge. If I add my prepaid meter and there's no power on it, money will not be coming to your account.
True.
But they are not doing that because the leadership is not totally effective in getting them to serve Nigerians. So I see some of these things as political promises, campaigns. But I hope this government delivers because Nigerians entrusted so much, so much. We invested so much goodwill in this government, and this government had better deliver to Nigerians.
Okay, so still talking about electricity, he actually disclosed that the power transmission had been ramped up to 7,000 megawatts. But as of December 8th, 2017, the country generated 5,155 megawatts of electricity. So in your own opinion, would you say that is a good map? I mean, going to 7,000 megawatts and then we have... Okay.
What we are celebrating 5,000, 7,000. South Africa, over 45,000 megawatts. Ghana, how many megawatts? See, we are being insulted. And they are talking about the regulation. Totally. Not just the oil sector. They regulate the electricity sector.
Okay, fine. He also said this year there will be more of a massive public works currently going on, spearheaded by his government, and it will lead to nation's recovery and simultaneously create more millions of jobs. And government saying that government was slowly stabilizing the economy through sustainable policies and programs captured in the economic recovery growth plan. Looking at the ERGP since when it was actually launched and now, do you really think much has come out of the ERGP?
No, not at all. Of course, the indices are very clear. For what we read, there's rather than job creation, which was one of the major campaign promises. I think it was supposed to be like 3,000 jobs per year or so, or thereabout. That was a promise during the campaigns. And 3 years into this government, the reports rather show that there's been an increase in unemployment. So well, maybe. I haven't realized that because it also appears that we are aware that even major stakeholders in this government are beginning to say to the same government and say, we have not delivered. Let's stop the blame game. That everything that has happened, our inability to work is because of what PDP did. PDP has become some sort of Democrats or some ghost, that haunts the APC. So the reports, the indices do not have any increment or improvement in the employment. The employment indices are low. Rather they're falling, not even low. They're falling. Contrary to, we expect at this point to be hearing not what the government is saying, but from bodies, international bodies and national bodies that are responsible for looking into this fact, to tell us that, look, there has been an upgrade, there's been an improvement. The employment indices have gone up, but of course they're down. So maybe, just maybe, as the president said, with this infrastructural development, with this rude awakening that this government has had, that would now begin to create. Maybe it was through this that they had purported or intended from the beginning to create this job opportunities. So with this coming in place, we'll begin to have, the jobs.
All right, it's still Galaxy today. Just to let you know that you can be a part of this conversation. What do you think the president should be doing in this year 2018? What major highlights would you want to see as we